Welcome back, and joining us on the show now is Priyam Patel. He's Managing Director at NK Proteins. Priyam, hi. Thank you so much taking time out for us here at CNBC TV18. Your sense on edible oil as a sector, because we've seen prices gain up in the last 1 week. In last 2 days, actually, the soybean prices have gained up by nearly $50 to $70 a ton there. The palm also seems to be surging. So soy and palm, the kind of gains that we've seen, how are you reading these price appreciations?
Good afternoon, Manisha. I think one of the major effects was the US biodiesel policy, which has just come in yesterday. So that has been a big boom for the pricing to increase in the recent times. Over and above, what we see is that the demand for edible oil has been sluggish since the last few weeks, but now it has started picking up, especially in India, after the entire events of the India-Pakistan conflict. There has been a lot of stocking which has been happening at the distributor, retailer and household levels. So we see those levels coming up, and now that once that the demand is there, after the demand has disappeared, I think then the prices should stabilize around these prices. The soy oil availability for the year is ample. The crop in Brazil, China, everything is good. Also, the trade talks between US and China, which have come to a 90-day halt of the tariff going down from 145 to 30%, will be a big boom especially for the soy industry. So I think the markets, the roller coaster ride should be over, if not completely over, but should be over for now, at least for the next 90 days.
Priyam, would you also expect the imports picking pace from here? Because the first quarter, most of the months, the imports were slightly lower, especially for palm. Do you see that that equation kind of change as we go ahead from here?
Yes, I think India was self-sustainable in terms of its own oil supplies because of the crops of cotton, rice, soy. But I think now that those crops are starting to disappear, I think we'll see more palm coming in. Palm was much more expensive at that point of time. But going forward, I think palm is becoming more competitive, and palm imports will kind of pick up slowly and gradually, which we've seen a lot of trades has been happening since the last 2 weeks from India. So that has also helped push the palm markets a little higher.
Priyam, how would you look at the Indian demand growth going forward? I mean, we do understand that India as a consumer is price sensitive. We tend to consume what is cheaper, and then the HORECA demand is quite on the stronger side as well. But when you look at various oils, as you spoke about, from rice bran, you do a lot of work in that, and soy and cottonseed oil for that matter. How have you seen demand shift between various of these oils?
The demand usually shifts specifically for HORECA. It shifts from palm to whatever is the cheaper oil. So that shift is always going to happen because the margins and the value addition is so little, so they will have to go for the cheapest available oil. But having said that, I think from household demand perspective, we see there is a firmness in branded demand, and that branded demand is increasing year on year by 8 to 10%. And I think we've all seen a good growth in that. And I don't see that stopping anytime soon, because the household demand, the per capita consumption, all of those factors are going up every year. And this next 2 years also, I don't think there will be a dip in demand, especially from household. And HORECA demand is again increasing, which will increase the consumption of palm oil or whatever the cheapest oil is, which was rice bran maybe a few months back. Right now, again, palm has come down to that level.
Priyam, there also have been reports on how duty-free imports seem to be coming in from Nepal. I mean, that clearly seems to be an issue. What, as an industry, and how as an industry are you putting that representation with the regulator, with the government?
So as a chairman of the Western Zone of SEA, we have been talking to, as SEA as an organization, we've been talking to various government bodies, and we've represented to various government departments on how this is affecting us. There are a lot of strategic calls that the government are also reluctant to take because of the SAFTA agreements, and there are a few other things that are also in place. So we are continuously talking to them. We are trying to explain to them what is the situation, how the industry is getting hit. And I think the government is understanding. They're giving a good ear to whatever we have to say. Even IVPA, one of another organization from edible oil industry, is also representing. So I think seeing all of this, I think there should be some kind of a resolution in the near future.
Priyam, also, how do you look at the next season coming in? I mean, as you said, the next couple of years, we are looking at good demand growth continuing from the Indian markets. It's supposed to be a good monsoon as well. And the way edible oil sector seems to be like right now, it's not really heading towards in way of inflation. Do you see the next season as positive?
Next year, whatever we are getting data from IMD and all the other sources is that the weather is going to be good. We are going to see a lot more sowing, especially in oilseeds. So the goal of self-independence in oilseeds, especially for India, is dependent very much on the monsoons. And monsoons this year look pretty good. So I don't see a problem for the next, at least this year, the way the monsoons are going to play out. But I think it's too early to say what will happen. I think we'll have a more clearer picture maybe by July, August.
Priyam, I also want to put in a question on US and India conversations where soybean perhaps can be, could find mention. Is there any representations, any conversations within the industry?
No comments on that, please.
Okay. Priyam, I'll also want to talk about on what is the kind of play that China perhaps could have on soybean, because after US and China, as you mentioned, we've seen soybean prices surge quite a bit. The ethanol story is something that seems to be picking up in various other countries as well. How much of an impact would that have on soybean prices?
I think it will not have a big impact because the way the crude oil is going down, we've seen the price of crude oil go down quite a bit. And also we have an example right in front of our eyes of Indonesia, where the B40 was implemented on paper from 1st of January, but it has not been, the government has not been able to implement because of the difference of the subsidy that they need to provide. And the government buffers do not allow for those kind of values. And even though people would want to go there, but if the crude oil continues to be cheaper, it will be difficult for most of the parts of the world, except for the European Union and the US, to implement a higher biodiesel mandate. So, and the crop, even if we talk about the crop, especially only in Brazil, we've seen the increase of crop from last year, which was 154. This year, we are already seeing 169 million tons. So the size of the crop is also increasing. The additional crop can also go for your biodiesel mandate. But next year also there is a talk, or there is a prediction of almost 175 million tons. So with the increase in crop, I think there is enough supply available for both food and for fuel.
And as you said, the consumption is rising and the prices perhaps may not see too much of a run up there. Priyam Patel, really appreciate your time here at CNBC TV18. So clearly, edible oil is going to be one sector, Ekta, where you wouldn't see inflation concerns at all.
Okay, all right, Manisha. Thanks very much for that. Well, for the markets, it's absolutely flat now for the Nifty. Mid-cap index still holding its head above the water, but nonetheless, there is some amount of deceleration which has taken place and come off the day's low, day's high. We have the Bank Nifty, which is down around 370 points as well. Well, it's a wrap on halftime report, but Business Lunch is going to take all the action forward as well as the dip that we've seen in the market. Stay tuned.